I think we are live now. Please let me know whether my voice is audible to all of you, and therefore we can start the class. Just let me know whether my voice is audible to you, everybody, just to double ensure that, yeah. Please let me know whether my voice is audible, everybody. Is my voice audible? Fine. So I think I got the confirmation that it's audible. So I think we can continue with our class. So we will continue with wherever we had discontinued yesterday. We had started with the concept of organizational change, isn't it? In fact, we had seen its importance in the context of the current crisis situation across the world, and therefore, why is it so important for us to change? I think I was listening to Sadhguru's speech a week ago. In fact, he said that since nobody would know what's going to happen, nobody has any information. Government, uh, that's what there is something called governance deficit today. Governance deficit means government doesn't know what is happening. They don't know how to make decisions. So therefore, nobody would know. Scientists are unaware of it. Doctors are unaware of it. Epidemiologists are unaware of it because they've never experienced something like this. And therefore, uh, the next 2 months, nobody would know how it is going to be. So therefore, what is that we have is currently the day that we are living in. So today is the best day. That's my philosophy always I believed in. So today you have to make your choices. How to live, how to strengthen yourselves. Can you increase your fitness? That's what Sadhguru says in his speech. Can you improve yourself? 10% of fitness. Can you increase uh, your creativity? Can you increase your emotional health? These are some of the things that are advised, so that once everything becomes normal, as of now it is not. Once it becomes normal, I'm sure we are all tuned onto the track. That's how the life goes on in any generation. So we had seen that's why importance of change, and then we had also seen the concept of change, and then various types of change, forces that are triggering change or stimulating change, and then why people resist change. We had spent quite a lot of time yesterday, and then learn how individuals and organizations resist change. In fact, organizations also resist change, we had seen yesterday. And then how to overcome resistance, that is the place where we had stopped yesterday. And then of course sufficiently we had seen the strategies, particularly if I move rush the slides so faster, only the change models are left out. In fact, as per the syllabus, as I told you, we have to see only one model, that is called Levin's force field analysis. That was the only model we are expected to see, but there are many more models which are so relevant for your generation, and that's why I'm going to show you some models. If needed, I'll also show you small video from YouTube. So we had seen its importance, then it's an alternation, it's a transformation of the status quo, and then we had seen types of change, forces of change, forces for change, then what is it we are supposed to change, and then why people resist change. We had seen forms of resistance, and then we had seen very, I hope somebody had picked up this information. What is selective information processing? We always pretend that we are picking up information, but we are so careful in this times. Particularly, what information are you picking up? You will pick up only information that you like. That's why it is called selection information, selective information processing. Any information which is comfortable to you, you'll pick up. Any adverse information you will not select. You pretend as if you're ignorant of that. And that's why we are scared of hearing anything adverse, and that's why we resist change. Then we had seen these two sources yesterday more elaborately, and then how to overcome. This is a very important strategy. It's a combination of ideas actually. Education and communication. We must learn to communicate and educate always our employees. Never keep anything, never keep them in dark air, in fact. Then negotiation and agreement. Manipulation, this is something which we should not try always. This is a very, very dangerous strategy. You have to be extremely smart to do this. And then participation, encouraging, encouraging the employees to participate in decision making at various levels. Shop level, that is called the ground level, then the departmental level, then the mid range level, that is what we call uh, plant level, we call it in the manufacturing setup. So here you can say the functional level, and then interfunctional level, and then finally strategic level, that is at the top level. You think employees are encouraged to participate in board meetings today in our country? It happens only in select what you call that manufacturing sector. Worker director is a concept. One of the representatives of the workforce who could be the union leader would be participating as the board of directors. So you can imagine board of directors would discuss so many issues, and that's how the workers would know from the worker director. But that's what the true participation is. Participation is based on the principle of democracy. When everybody participates, naturally they will respond to change. Otherwise, they are suspicious and resist to change. Then facilitation and support, how we must encourage people to accept change, and also say that how you are going to be there with them all through the change. Then this is force. How do you employ force to bring about change? These are the strategies. Tomorrow you will be using at least one of them, some of them, combination of them as a hospital manager. Now, this is our concluding topic. In next 5-10 minutes, I think we should take 10 minutes at least, or little more than that. I think 20 minutes we should take to say these models, because these models are very useful for you as you step into the corporate life. We had seen yesterday how Kurt Lewin explains the model of change. In fact, what actually does it mean? A model explains us all the steps involved in introducing change. Step 1 to step last, how to introduce change. So what I'll do, I'll present to you the remaining models. A little elaboration I will do, but Levin's we have already seen that unfreezing is called the preparatory stage. We are educating people. You are in telling them what's going to happen in the future and how our nation is moving. You're going to do a lot of education there, creating awareness and preparing them. That's called prep stage. And then introducing change, that is the second phase. And then once the change is producing results, you refreeze that mindset. That's what Levin says. This is the way you have to introduce change. And then he also said how to analyze or how to describe the resistance. So he says in any status quo, if you want to bring about change in the status quo, that is things as they were before, you have to know what is the desired state on y-axis. And then on the x-axis, you have the time. How much time do you need to reach a desired state? That's why in many corporations I have seen at Apollo Hospital also, I have done one study on whether the climate changes over the time. So I had seen 6 years. 6 years it had not changed. Why? Because they have not consciously improved the climate. That's what one of the case studies I had presented international conference. It doesn't change because you have to be consciously evolving, consciously following it. That's the reason we are going to see the models. So here, driving force and restraining force, there are two forces in any change management. So both the forces are pressuring, exerting their pressure on the status quo, things as they are. That's called status quo. Everything is fine, this is called status quo. But everything is not going to be fine after COVID, post COVID-19 scenario. This is, let us say, post COVID-19 scenario. You have to introduce changes and it has to move in the desired state. So but forces are putting their pressures, that's what we call equilibrium, balance. But either restraining force represented by workforce, driving force represented by management, has to understand how to improve the status quo. So if you educate, for example, if restraining force is the workforce, educate them, consultations, encourage them, participate, ask them to participate in them. Either you apply force, whatever you do, if you reduce the force, you can increase the state, the what you call the desired state. It can slowly move towards the desired state. That's what we call desired state. I think every hospital will be trying these methods anyway, consciously or subconsciously they have to do it. So now what we will do, we will slowly get into the next model called McKinsey's model. I will not elaborate too much because these are not part of syllabus, but I want you to have at least some idea that these are the models of change. Some companies have followed it. In fact, McKinsey's 7S model, it is called actually. This is one of the most successful models which withstood the test of time ever since 80s actually. McKinsey and company, they employ some consultants in this company developed this strategy. So in this strategy, what you could do is, it always starts with step one. Here it is. Always starts with step one. So there are 7S you can see alphabetically: strategy, structure, systems, then what is that called, shared values, then style, then staff, then skills. And then if you bifurcate them into two parts, you can see strategy, structure, systems and part of shared values is called hard S. They are called hard S. And then skills, staff, styles and part of shared values is called soft S. So two types of S you can find in this 7. So the first three part of the fourth one, the last three part of fourth one form hard S and soft S. So what do you mean by strategy? Very quickly, it is the plan actually. Strategy is a plan created to what you call bypass the competition and reach your business goals. That is the actual meaning of what is called strategy. And here you have to have what you call the step by step planning. If you remember, in the previous semester we talked about 8-step process of planning. So that's what we call, when you put all of them for a long term, let us say 3 to 5 years, you want to bring about change in your hospital, you have to have a strategy. And then next one is called structure. You know what is the meaning of structure? In order to what you call, uh, what does it actually mean? Structure refers to the way in which any business is divided into, or the roles, the positions people have are divided into groups. For example, line and staff is one structure, functional structure, divisional structure and so on. The entire business work or the tasks to be done are classified into groups. That's what we call structure. And then all are interconnected, you can see that. That's why it's called framework. And what is called system, in order to get any task done, the way in which the day-to-day activities are performed in this stage. So systems are day-to-day activities put together in an order. And then finally, what you call this fourth point called shared values. It refers to the core or main values of the business in which you believe, the kind of services that you want to give to your patients. That's what is called shared values. So everybody believes in it. Top management believes in it. Then employees also believe in it. So in the entire corporation, people believe in certain standard values. Our company stands for fairness. Our company stands for best quality healthcare in this country at an affordable cost. These are all what we call shared values. We will be always fair. We will be always transparent. We will always clearly tell patients there is no suspicion, there is no lie. And then we move on to the next soft side called style. The manner in which the change and leadership are adopted or implemented is what we actually call style. So what is the style, or what is the manner in which you implement change in your hospital? That is called the style of the management. And then who are the staff? They represent your workforce or employees. And not only that, staff also represent the capabilities of employees. And with that, we move on to the last one called the skills. After all, skills are so important. The competencies as well as skills possessed by the employees working in the organization. Because if they don't have adequate skills, your change program cannot take place. It will fail somewhere. So that's how these are all called steps actually to be followed. There are 7 steps in this model. So with that we move on to the next one called John Cotter. You can see this John Cotter's model. This is the book in which he had explained the model of change. It's also called Cotter's model of change. John Cotter. He's a very popular professor at Harvard University. In fact, he came to Hyderabad to give a lecture on change management at ISB. So, of course, I missed it. I couldn't attend that session, but I am familiar with this book. I have read this. So, John Cotter says, in fact, in this book, I want you to read this book. It is available online freely. You can download it. Somebody kept that there. What he says is that change management is not a philosophy merely, but change management is how people come together and follow certain steps. So the model he suggested has 8 steps, actually 8 stages. So very quickly I would like to show you those 8 stages, but before that I want to show that this is like a drama. This book that he had written called Our Iceberg is Melting. I hope my voice is audible to all of you without any problem. Thank you for the feedback. So in this book he had explained, sorry, where are we? Yeah, Our Iceberg is Melting is a wonderful book. It's like a novel actually, but it is a scientific way of presenting how steps are, this model is practiced. So in here what he did, in this book he had narrated the 7 steps in a drama. It's a drama of penguins, and therefore what I'll do next 5 to 10 minutes, I would like to show you the video in which how all these penguins they decide to introduce change. Why? Because this drama is all about the penguins habitat. So in this penguins habitat they'll have a crisis. There impending danger actually. All these penguins would be living in an ice cave, and then the roof of the cave, which is a big iceberg actually, and that one day a penguin called Fred would notice that there is a crack in the roof of the iceberg, and then he wants to alert everybody saying that this is going to collapse, and as a result our entire race of penguins will be extinct, we will all die. And then if Fred creates that kind of urgency, rest of all the penguins react. How do they react is called the drama. So what I'll do, I will now try to show you that video, and then we'll come back to this topic again, just for a change. So we'll go back to the video. So this is the video that I wanted to show you. It's called Our Iceberg is Melting. I hope that screen is full. Once it is full, I think we can play that video. So listen to the actors. It's about 10 minutes.
This is a story about a flock of
So
penguins
just
who
watch
live on
it.
an iceberg in Antarctica, the South Pole. They are like a big family. They have been living as a colony on this iceberg for years, as far back as they can remember. It is their home. They don't know it yet, but change is coming for them. In order to survive, they will need to learn the change leadership process, one step at a time. When they aren't hunting for creatures in the sea, they spend most of their time with friends and relatives. Except this one, Fred. Fred is unusually curious and observant. He watches the sea and stuffs his observations, ideas, and conclusions in a briefcase. One day, Fred learned something alarming.
Oh boy, I have to do something. I gotta tell Alice.
This is Alice. She is one of the Penguin's Leadership Council members. She is tough and has a reputation of getting things done.
Alice, can I speak with you for a moment? I believe that our iceberg is melting.
Really? Well, show me what you mean.
So Fred took Alice to the heart of the iceberg.
See, Alice? Our iceberg has cracks that lead to larger caves. If the ice melts sufficiently, water will pour into these cracks and caves. If we have a cold winter, the water in these cracks can freeze quickly, trapping water inside the caves. Then, as the temperature goes lower, the water in the caves will freeze too. This freezing liquid will expand in volume, causing our iceberg to break into pieces. This could destroy our home and place us all in great danger.
This is not good. We must bring this information to the Leadership Council.
I'll prepare a presentation to convince them that something must be done.
The Leadership Council consists of Lewis, the head of the council, Alice, Buddy, the handsome, charismatic one, and No-No, a cranky penguin who is responsible for weather forecasts.
Causing our iceberg to break into pieces.
This is wild speculation and fear-mongering. Our iceberg can withstand such fluctuations. Can he guarantee his data and conclusions are 100% correct?
I can't. But if our iceberg breaks into pieces in winter, wouldn't many of us die?
Imagine parents who lost their children coming to us and asking, why didn't you foresee this crisis? It was your job to protect the colony. What would you tell them?
If Fred is correct, we only have 2 months until winter to react to this threat.
We must inform everyone. This calls for a general assembly of the colony.
No! It would be very bad to worry them.
We don't want to panic anyone.
We must keep this a secret.
I have an idea. Would you give me a few minutes, please?
Fred went quickly down the mountain and arrived minutes later with a glass bottle.
Let's fill this bottle with water, seal it, and leave it in the ice overnight. Then tomorrow we can see if it's broken by the force of expanding water as it freezes. If I am correct, the bottle will be broken.
Let's do it. We'll meet here tomorrow morning.
The next morning, they found the bottle broken.
Oh.
I'm convinced. We have to do something about this.
Let us call a general assembly of the colony.
And with that, the Penguins started the change leadership process with step 1, establishing a sense of urgency.
Clearly, our iceberg is in danger, but I am confident we will find a solution. We need to act quickly.
Their next step was step 2, creating the guiding coalition. A diverse team of 5 penguins was given the task of finding a solution. Lewis, Alice, Fred, Buddy, and Professor, who was the smartest penguin in the colony. Each had different strengths, and together they were the best team for the job. Their task was step 3 of the change leadership process, developing a change vision.
I've got an idea. Let's move to the center of Antarctica, where ice is thicker and stronger.
We will be too far from the water. How will we get fish?
What about using superglue to hold the iceberg together?
That's very funny.
Look, up there, the seagull. It can't fly forever. It must have a home somewhere.
It could be very lost, but it doesn't seem to be afraid. What if moving from one place to another is just the way it lives? Like a nomad.
I can almost see how we might live. We'd learn to move around. We wouldn't try to fix melting icebergs. We would just face up to the fact that what sustains us can't go on forever.
Our founder had this same idea when he moved our colony to this iceberg years ago. This sounds like our best shot. Let's inform the others.
Their next step was number 4, communicating the vision for buy-in. Lewis called a general assembly again to tell all of the new strategy. Since Buddy was the best storyteller, he was chosen to tell the story of the seagull. Then Lewis addressed the crowd.
We are not chained to this piece of ice. Let it melt and break. We will find other places to live that are safer.
Although many penguins were relieved to hear this, many were still skeptical. So Alice came up with the idea of putting slogans on ice posters to win over the support of the colony. They worked hard to communicate the new vision of a nomadic life. Then they moved the plan forward with step 5, empowering broad-based action.
A scout team should go and look for another iceberg. Assemble a team and get ready.
Yes, sir.
Of course, it didn't go smoothly at first. Arguments broke out among the scouts, but Lewis dealt with them in a straight and direct way, keeping the focus on the main task. Then No-No started forecasting storms to discourage the scouts and lower morale. Lewis told No-No that his forecasting services are not needed at this time. Many of the penguins, particularly the young ones, were scared about the upcoming move. Buddy asked the teachers of the colony to speak about bravery to these young penguins. He inspired them to come up with Tribute to Our Heroes Day for when the scouts return. Next, they needed to act and make some progress. This is step 6, generating short-term wins. The strong, bright, and highly enthusiastic scouts jumped into the water and searched for a new iceberg that would be good enough for them to move to.
My life was boring. Scouting is fun!
I will do this for the colony!
My family will be so proud of me!
When the brave scouts finally returned, they were tired and hungry, but they were greeted with a hero's welcome. They were given medals and food. They told amazing tales about the sea, about swimming long distances, and about new icebergs they had seen. As happy as everyone was to have this successful trip completed, it was no time to rest. They pressed onward with step number 7, never letting up. The next day, a second group of scouts went out and found the best iceberg for their new home.
This iceberg has everything we need. A tall snow wall and good fishing sites. During the migration, our young and old can rest along the way on small icebergs.
Let's waste no time. Start the migration before winter hits.
The colony moved to the new home. The move was chaotic at times, but with Lewis's leadership and Buddy's encouragement, they arrived safely on the new iceberg. However, they still needed to take one last step, number 8, incorporating changes into the culture. Although the new iceberg was solid and safe, they decided to move again the year after to an even better iceberg. They learned that to survive, constant change must become part of their culture. We can all learn something from the fable of these penguins. Is your organization safe? Are you sure that your iceberg is not melting? Here is a review of the change leadership process that the penguins used. Step 1, establishing a sense of urgency. Step 2, creating the guiding coalition. Step 3, developing a change vision. Step 4, communicating the vision for buy-in. Step 5, empowering broad-based action. Step 6, generating short-term wins. Step 7, never letting up. And Step 8, incorporating changes into the culture. Think about these steps and how they work for our clever penguins. They can help you embrace change and keep you ahead of your melting iceberg.
So I hope you were quite convinced of such a model. Very interesting model, isn't it? So there are about 8 steps that John Carter explained through this drama of penguins. So I hope our iceberg is not melting, right? We have to check up your career icebergs. Hope they are not melting. I know your workplace as an organization, your organization's iceberg is not melting. Your family's iceberg is not melting. That's the way we relate. These 8 steps can be related to each of our facets of life. Everywhere you can apply, even in your friendship. If your friendship's iceberg is melting, you have to be. So I think that's a wonderful lesson we had learned. I think we will conclude now with a few more models of change, and I hope we have some interesting lessons to borrow from this model. So now once again refresh. Create a sense of urgency, build a guiding team, develop a vision, communicate for buy-in. So that means everybody participates in this vision. They'll take it for themselves. Then empower action, create short-term wins. It's very interesting. That means celebrate with short wins. Short achievements must be celebrated. And sometimes there can be discouragement. Sometimes some people may be having negative experiences, but don't give up. So let the change stick. Unless we have this kind of focus, I don't think our nations can change. So with that, we will move on to the next one called Beer and Associates model. This was once upon a time a very popular model. Today now they are not using it, but you can see that very similar steps you can find, may not be in the similar order, may not be completely, but John Carter's was the most dependable model since the last 20 years. Then these gentlemen, they were also consultants like McKinsey consultants. So what they say, first one is mobilize commitment. Tomorrow we are going to see this topic. I think today only we are going to introducing this topic. After a few more, maybe next 10-15 minutes, I'm going to introduce this concept called commitment. So first, mobilize commitment to change as a team. Very important. So we must encourage people to commit to the change. That's why make them party to the change program from the beginning. Then develop a shared vision. Even John Cotter explained that change vision, he called it. So develop a shared vision, then foster consensus for this new vision, which means everybody should buy this vision. Everybody should participate in this vision. That's what we call consensus. Then spread revitalization to all the departments. So this is what very similar you can see. Even John Cotter has very similar explanations, though different wordings were given. Spread revitalization to all the department. That means energize every department. Then institutionalize that energy through formal policy systems and structures. So which means communicate thoroughly so that everybody is in with this vision. Then monitor and adjust strategies in response to the revitalization process. So that's what we say, celebrate the wins, or any errors are there, adjust them. Any problems are there, adjust them. That's what we, the model of Beer and Associates. Now we'll move on to this next one called Ram Narayan and Neelkant model. This is the only Indian model as of now we have, and that's what we, not very popularly known, but yeah, Indian models are not very popularly known. In some companies, these two gentlemen have been consultants, though they are academicians actually. Ram Narayan is a OB professor at IIM Ahmedabad. He was also teaching at ISB for some time. So what he says, these are some of the models, sorry, steps in their model. First one is assemble a change management team at the top. Very interesting concept. Then next one is establish a new direction for the organization. This is a very crucial step in the first place. Assemble a change management team, which means all those top fellows who are extremely passionate about bringing change. Such people should be part of this team. Then establish a new direction for the organization. This is what we call vision. Everybody is talking about vision. So here they are talking about direction. Then prepare the organization for the change. That's what revitalizing in Beer's model. Then everybody should buy in. That is Kotter's model. Then set up change teams to implement the change. That means let them take action, small actions, like how each penguin jumps into the water to explore the new world. That's what we call set up change to implement the change. Then align structure, systems, and resources, which means facilitate, provide all the resources. That's what we call aligning structures. Arrange work, who should do what, and then identify and remove roadblocks to change. And then absorb change into the culture of the organization. That is what we call refreezing according to Levin. So all these are so uniform, you can see that only thing is expansion. So these models are really worth learning from, and then who knows, tomorrow you may be involved in change management program. You may be part of this change management team in the hospital, because all hospital management students, they are positioned at vice president levels at very short time. 3 years, in 4 years they become vice presidents, and that's the time you realize that you are part of this team. So I think uh, very simply will, this is what they have elaborated. I have once again wanted to show them. So what I'll do, I'll stop it here, not move forward. So what we'll do, we'll just take 5 minutes break and then come back for a new topic called organizational commitment. So take some snacks, you can have some beverages, some drinks, and then come back. Friends, come back. Welcome back once again to this session on organizational commitment. In fact, we had just seen how important the concept of change is since yesterday. In fact, we had seen the importance of change since day before yesterday. Maybe due to some technical issues, we couldn't move forward smoothly. There were some power failures and bandwidth issues. So I think so far it is moving smooth. I hope you are able to hear my voice, and then the video is also clear. So therefore what we'll do, we'll start with the new concept, or what we call the 8th unit of the syllabus. 8th unit of the syllabus is called organizational commitment. This is not a very big topic, and unfortunately you will not find this topic in standard OB textbooks. And then immediately you should have this question: if it is not there in the textbooks, why is this introduced in our syllabus? Thank you, Sindhuja, for your feedback. This is such an important subject, particularly in this time. The concept of commitment. In fact, I had done some research work in the past on this concept called commitment. I'm exploring whether any online articles are available so that you can read on your own more. It's because you will not find this topic in what you call your textbooks. That's unfortunate. I don't know why. Internationally, textbooks do not have this concept, even though that is a very, very important topic. I'm just trying to show some articles which I had published on the concept of commitment. Probably I'll try to paste them so that you can search them on the internet. I leave that on the what you call live chat. I'm just copying those articles one after the other. So these are some of the research studies which I have done for the benefit of those who are interested in knowing more or having more notes. You can pick up these topics and then just download them from the internet. Can you have you got the what you call the article I have posted in the live chat? Have you got it? I hope you didn't get it. Yeah, I think now you can have it. Few articles like this. Of course, very recently also I have written one article along with one of my PhD scholars. I don't know why it is not, I'm not able to paste it in the what you call live chat. One article which I'm not able to paste. So what I'll do, I'll copy that in the um, PowerPoint file so that you can see those articles. These are all worth reading if there is a need arise. Some articles I'm trying to paste them. So just I'm creating one file, one slide in which I'm listing out all those articles, because this live chat is not allowing me to copy a much bigger text. Let me try whether it can. I think by removing some lines it had accepted. So but you can type it out in Google. These are some of the ways. I hope it will move. Yeah, you can copy paste into your folders. I hope two we have done. Just check up whether all the links are, you have to try them somehow in Google. These are some of the research publications which I have made several years ago. That's it. Only 3 articles I have done in the past. Why? Because this topic is not found in OB textbooks. So that's what I've learned during the last 30 years. Whatever is not researched more, it's better to do research in those areas so that you're contributing to the subject knowledge. So that's only a passion anyway. I had that passion of, because every academician is supposed to contribute to the body of knowledge. So I thought I'm only performing my role. So you can try these articles if you can find them on the internet, download and read them for more notes. So what I'll do now, I'll move slowly into this concept. What we will do today we'll only see the concept of commitment. And models also we'll see. But tomorrow I will briefly explain what is this called empowerment, what is this concept called OCB, organizational citizenship behavior, and then what is this called employee engagement. Everybody is talking about employee engagement today. in all business contexts. So we'll try to see that tomorrow. So they're all very basic concepts, so we will not go deeper into them. So very basically, definition wise, how this can be practiced in the corporations, we will see those. But as of now today, we will only see the concept of commitment, its causes, its consequences, and then how to make your employees committed. That's going to be your hospital manager's role anyway. So that's what we are going to see today. And with that, we'll have only the last topic called organizational effectiveness. And that's what tomorrow is going to be our last session. So sharp, we will try to see. I was only exploring whether we can have a session in the morning, but I was told that you're already occupied in the morning sessions. Never mind. So since we have committed to have sessions 4:30 every day, we'll do that. So tomorrow we will finish off with these concepts called empowerment, OCB, and employee engagement, and then followed by the ninth unit, that is called organizational effectiveness. So that's going to be our last unit for the season. And then we'll also have sample questions for the examination. So in case if I forget, somebody can put them in the live chat. So I hope our expectations are very clear. So let's move on with the concepts now. So before we start with it, I want you to look through this overview. Why study this topic when it is not there in the OB textbooks? That's what I started with it. Then after seeing this definition, you will know why hospital management should be bothering about employee commitment to their organizations. We'll try to see a model. What are called antecedents of commitment, or what are the factors contributing to commitment? What are the outcomes of commitment? When employees are committed, what is going to be the benefit? And then how to develop commitment. So if we can understand this, that should be fine. So every manager raises this big issue that I wish I had highly committed staff working in my hospital. How you can have when you don't know how to make them committed? And that's why you have to learn this topic. So let's quickly do it. Why should we study this topic? Now we have seen last 30 years globalization has created more jobs. The whole world has become a common place. Anybody can travel anywhere, anybody can live anywhere, anybody can work anywhere. So exchange was so much so that it had created what you call well networked world. That was globalization. People enjoyed the benefits of globalization. Unfortunately, people are also suffering from globalization today. Without globalization, COVID 19 wouldn't have existed. It wouldn't have come out of China. It would have been confined only to Wuhan city. So it's because of globalization. It's because of the um, interconnectivity, international connectivity. The virus got spread so rapidly. So globalization has its benefits as well as ill effects. Of course, ill effects at the extremity is called the pandemic. But there were so many ill effects called Hollywood expansion. Every movie today India produces looks like a Hollywood movie, whether it is a Telugu movie or Hindi movie or any other language. Every movie has to look like Hollywood, otherwise people won't watch those kind of movies. So globalization has also destroyed our cultures. In one sense, you have also adopted somebody's cultures. Now tell me honestly, amongst ourselves who are listening to this lecture, how many of you know classical music, Indian classical music? How many of you know Indian classical dance, whatever you call, Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, and things like that? How many of us can really play Indian musical instruments? It's all gone. One generation is gone with the culture. How will you pass? How do you expect your children to adopt those cultures? It's gone. The next generation, with next generation, there is nothing called Indian culture, I'm sure. So globalization has more ill effects than the good effects. That's my view anyway. People may counter it, but with evidences I am talking about that. It's because of globalization the AIDS had spread out. It's because of globalization SARS got spread out. It's because of globalization this pandemic called COVID-19 got spread out. So at least for health management professionals like you, and of course I don't think I'm a professional in that area, but I worked for a while. But for people like you would know that globalization had very severe health issues. It had generated severe health consequences. In fact, concept of obesity is imported actually. It is not known to India. The concept of diabetes is imported. It's not known to India. That's why in Ayurveda, you don't have a medicine for obesity because our ancestors never suffered from obesity. You don't have medicine for cancer in Ayurveda because it's an imported medicine, imported disease for, sorry. So many health disasters today are all imported because of globalization. So it has more ill effects than the positive effects. Of course, globalization made many people billionaires. Very few people benefited from globalization, but imagine the poor people. Globalization has a very severe bad effect on poor people. Never mind. Only educated people benefited from globalization, not the uneducated people. So globalization led immigration. There's something called the concept of NRIs came in, and then the NRIs means dual citizenship. Then there's something called expats. I don't know whether you ever heard of this word called expats. The full form is expatriates. Patriots are, they belong to one citizen, one nation. They will not give up their citizenship. They will not acquire any other country citizenship. So they belong to one country, but they decided to live in other countries for a stipulated period of time. Let us say next to 3 years or next to 5 years, they will stay in China. After 5 years, they'll move to Thailand. After 5 years, they will go to Ireland. After 5 more years, they might go to some other nation. So likewise, what they do, they move along with their family from one country to other country. These expats are very, very strange people. They don't have attachment to any place. They just keep moving like those tribes who moved in the past. They are like tribal people only. Their families move from one country to other country, work for some time in one country and then move. Now, these are all extremely smart people than anybody else. Then NRIs also. Why they are extremely smart beings? They are extremely flexible and they move from one country to other country. And what happens when they do? Their children are given free of cost education. They're given free transport. They're given free housing, tax free income, and then all facilities are extended to them. And all the money that they earn is saved. The company takes care of all the other expenditure. So if they work for at least 30 years in different countries, you can imagine how their children would be. Extremely dynamic, extremely intelligent, because they would have learned to live in so many cultures, and that's called the expats culture. I hope you will pick up the qualities culture from this group, and globalization has given that opportunity for them to work in different countries. And then this concept called commitment has to be understood because technology necessitates more talented and more knowledge professionals today. I told you so many times that unless you're recession proof, even after this lockdown, you will have careers. If you are not recession proof, you are not. That's why you have to pick up the technology. How to work using artificial intelligence in healthcare, how to work with the machines which are what you call semi-autonomous. They operate on their own, or you just tell them they will perform. All your electronic gadgets will speak in the future, and they will listen to you when you speak. So it's all robotics in one sense. Robotics and artificial intelligence is going to be the future. So you have to pick up all those softwares, equipments, then only you are in the future. But because of this, you have to have people, talented people and knowledge professionals committed to your organization. Otherwise, they'll quit, they'll leave their jobs. Now, productivity, quality, innovation is possible only through committed people. And people are your competitive advantage. Any hospital, it's not their equipment, it's not their buildings, it's only people, the best doctors that you have, the best hospital managers that you have, the best staff that you have, best nursing care that you have. They are the competitive advantage of your hospital. Learn to leverage through that. So committed people or the competitive advantage for your company, for your hospital. So now let's see the definition of it. What is commitment? These are some of the quick messages. Commitment is feeling of responsibility, an attachment to the concern or the business, or it's a sense of allegiance. That means a kind of devotion, sense of devotion, or allegiance means I am I am I am with this institution, I am part of this institution, I will not quit this institution, I am bound by this institution, I have a duty to do for this institution. That's what we call allegiance. But if you look through the definitions, we'll see how these are evolving. Maude, one of the oldest definitions of commitment, said it is the relative strength of an individual's identification with. So this is the word to be underlined. Relative strength. That means it is not commitment is never absolute. It's changing. So it's a relative strength of an individual's identification with and involvement in a company. So commitment is expressed as how an employee is identifying with that company. Does he have any hesitation to keep his what you call the ID card around his neck? If he's removing the ID card, if he's not showing the ID card to the whole world, that means there's something wrong with this man. He's not identified with it. Is he involved? Does he participate in every decisions, every meetings, or he just escapes meetings, gives excuses? That's what we call involvement in the job. And there are three characteristics of commitment you can always see. Point number one, it's a belief and acceptance of the values of the company and a strong willingness to put effort for that organization. And finally, the desire to remain with the company for a long time. How long? 6 years? A person who worked 6 years for a company is a committed guy, or 10 years is a committed guy. If someone is working for 20 years, he's a highly committed guy or loyal guy. We'll see the differences now. Now, Galley and White in 93 used the term commitment to refer to acceptance of the values of the company. So if you accept the values of a company and have willingness to stay back with that company, you're a committed guy. That's what they suggest. But Neoff says here, you can see, along with others. Et al. Means others, other authors. Neoff and other authors in 98 suggest a sense of loyalty. Commitment is identified with a sense of loyalty to and identification with the organization, the work, the group to which they belong. So they have extended so much. Commitment doesn't mean only to the organization. Commitment also means to the work. Commitment also means to the group to which they belong. This more expansive. But here you can see it's only loyalty. Loyalty is slightly different. We'll see those meanings slowly. Porter defined in 1974 as identification with, loyal involvement in, and loyalty to. So there are three facets of this definition. It's the extent to which employees identify with, involve in, and loyal to an organization. Very simply they have defined. But the most comprehensive, so far nobody disputed, so far we are following this definition only across the world, 1987 onwards. Allen and Mayer. After these people, nobody had challenged the definitions. This is the final definition, Allen and Mayer. They said it is the extent to which employees have affective commitment, continuous commitment, normative commitment. These are the terms that they've used. Commitment is three-dimensional. Affective means how affectionate uh, are you for your job? And then continuous commitment. Do you have fear of losing the job? And then normative commitment. It's a duty actually. It's a duty to stay back with your company because they gave you a job. That's how they defined it. The normative commitment is a weak dimension, but these are all very strong dimensions. So now we will see the model. What do you mean by the model of commitment? Model normally suggests what is input, throughput, and output. So antecedents, which are called causes, then commitment itself, then consequences or the outcomes of commitment. So antecedents are input, commitment is throughput, consequences are output. Now what are antecedents? There are various types of antecedents. Job related antecedents could be contributed to commitment. Organizational characteristics could be contributed to commitment. Cultural characteristics of a company also could be contributed to the commitment, or individuals' cultural traits also could be contributed to commitment. Then what are the outcomes of commitment? There are many. We will try to see that in the picture here. So let us start with Maude, Porter and Steers. This is the oldest model anyway. So they said commitment happens in 3 stages. How? Number 1, pre-entry stage, anticipation stage, early employment stage, that's called initiation of commitment, and middle to late career, long time, entrenchment, that means they are stick up with the company for long. So anticipation, initiation and entrenchment. These are the 3 phases in which commitment happens. Now employees will be more affectionately committed to an organization to the extent that they are confident that they have made a good choice and have positive expectations prior to entry. So it always starts with pre-entry, and then how long would anybody stay back? That's what we call middle and late careers. Now, when will they be affectionate to their organizations? Do you think if employees are affectionate, organizations are also affectionate? That is the problem here in this concept. That's why commitment is a very poor concept. If employees are committed to the organization, do you think organizations are committed to the employees? Today, lockdown has created a lot of job loss, which means organizations are not committing to their employees. So this is a one-way concept. That's why it is weak. You expect employees to commit to your organizations, but organizations are not committing to their employees anywhere in the world. No exceptions. That is the reason this subject is very weak. This topic is very weak. Now, what is continuous commitment? Which means it's very calculative. Why would anybody stay back with your company? As long as the company is taking care of you, then only you will continue. It's a sort of little calculation also involved in it. Investments are involved in it. So I will invest my energy only if company invests in me. That's the way it is understood. Now, this is how we explain the model. So let us slowly see what are the antecedents. So you can see here, these are the antecedents. Then commitment itself. These are the dimensions of commitment. Allen and Mayer's dimensions. And these are the consequences or outcomes of commitment. So slowly we'll see each one of them. Age. How age is a cause. For example, as you are getting older in a workplace, you have invested a lot of your age, and therefore you are willing to stay back with that company. So age contributes. Similarly, men and women have different views. Gender also contributes to commitment. For example, women, they don't want to leave their cities, they don't want to leave their workplaces because their families are stable. But what about men? For the sake of families, men also stay back. So that's how gender also is contributing to the commitment. Then marital status. How do you say unmarried people can keep moving across? So unmarried people have no hesitation to move outside of their companies. They can quit the job and join some other. But married people have their reservations. Yes, give me a time. Yeah, please tell me. Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I am having an online class. If any emergency is there, we can talk. Otherwise, half an hour, I'll be closing the class. 6 o'clock. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hmm? Bye. I'm sorry about the delay. So, where are we? We are talking about the antecedents of commitment. Now, we had seen certain personal characteristics like age, gender, and marital status contributing to the commitment. The next two are relating to the organizational characteristics. One is called LMX. How many of you know what is LMX? We talked about that probably sometime on leadership. It's called Leader Member Exchange. LMX. Leader Member Exchange. So the relationships that leaders and their subordinates have or followers have, managers and employees have that relationship of exchange. So if it's a healthy relationship, I'm sure members will be committed to that organization. In fact, there is a popular saying that why people quit our nations, not because of job opportunities, not because of searching elsewhere else. It's always because of the boss people quit. It's a popular saying that. But nobody would put that in the resignation letter. I'm leaving because of the boss. So, yeah, we are all liars in one sense. So, leader member exchange is an important variable. Then, finally, justice, which means how fair things are in that organization. How is the reward? Is it fair? Is performance appraisal fair? Is compensation fair? Is promotions fair? So, all decisions made towards employees, are they fair or not? That's what we call the justice. There are two types of justice. One is called procedural justice. The second one is called distributive justice. What is procedural justice? All the procedures that you follow, all the paperwork that you follow in your organization relating to the employees' records, are they fair? Your calculations of salaries, are they fair? The mathematical formulas you have adopted, are they fair? That's called procedural justice. Distributive justice, how fair are you in rewarding people? How fair are you on sharing the profits with the employees? These are what we call distributive justice examples. So if there is justice in your organization, I'm sure people will be committed to their organizations. Once again, affective commitment, how affectionate people are to their organizations. And it should be vice versa, in my opinion. Similarly, continuous commitment, fear of losing a job, people commit to their organizations. Normative commitment, it is a sense of loyalty or sense of allegiance to the company. They gave me a first time opportunity, so I'm supposed to commit to that organization. That's how they define. And now you see the outcomes of commitment. If people are highly committed, they'll be satisfied with their job, life, and family. Satisfaction with job, life, and family. Then you can see these are all plus marks, which means more commitment, more satisfaction with job, life, and family. And then more commitment, less turnover intentions, which means intention to quit the job is called turnover intention. Intention to quit the job. So it is in the minus, which means commitment, when commitment increases, turnover decreases. Similarly, when commitment increases, people's involvement in their job also increase. Involvement, they'll wholeheartedly contribute to the work. That's called job involvement. Not only that, they'll be engaged in their workplace. So tomorrow we'll see those concepts: job engagement, and then there is something called OCB, organizational citizenship behavior. Highly committed people are also having OCB, organizational citizenship behavior. I will talk about that more elaborate tomorrow. OCB refers to basically going extra mile. So what do you mean by going extra mile? You're supposed to work only till 5 o'clock, but you're working till 6 o'clock. Half an hour extra you have worked free of cost for the company. They don't pay you for that. But you worked because you wanted to finish that one work. That's called OCB. Beyond the official requirements, you're working for the company. That is called excessive commitment, or the outcome of commitment called OCB. So we will talk about these concepts tomorrow more elaborately. So that's all about the model. Now it's time for us to see how to develop, and then we'll discontinue the topic for today. Now, how to develop commitment among employees. Remember, from the concept of change management, because this is also about change. So if you want to make your employees commit to their organizations, there is a need for change in you as hospital managers. So create always a strong teamwork culture. Always let the teams decide what is that they want to do and achieve for the hospital. Don't interfere with them always. Give them, empower them, give them power, let them decide. We'll see what is the meaning of empowerment tomorrow more elaborately. Empowerment also means giving power to the people to make decisions on their own. And be transparent always. Don't hide anything with the employees. And encourage open communication. People will be committed to that workplace. And always develop trust among fellow human beings. Encourage innovation among them. Then always give constructive feedback and don't criticize them. Always help them by giving better ideas. Then delegate the task to people so that leaderships can be developed. Then give incentives to the people for success, for their achievements. So that's how I will very quickly explain how commitment could happen. So with that, we discontinue the topic for today. So if you have any quick comments, you can put them in the live box. Otherwise, we can discontinue the topic for today and then we'll come back with the last class for tomorrow. If you have any doubts, you can still raise them. I'll keep this file open. So think of any doubts you have. You can download those articles of mine and make some notes on this topic, because I told you you will not find notes on this topic. And then tomorrow we are going to see some what you call a model question paper and some sample questions I'll give you. Until then, goodbye and good night.